Hey guys, and welcome to another video at Major Automations. This one is near and dear to my heart. I got my rise as a big outbound cold emailer. In 2020, I sent over 250,000 emails by myself across our team. I think it was over 500,000. It was a huge year. We had an awesome time. So that's where I got a lot of my initial sort of outbound work in. And one of the toughest parts was staying organized. So what that really means to me is when I'm going through my inbox that's sent, in 1,000 emails, 2,000 emails, there's basically 4 different responses that matter to me anyway. There are bounces, which means my data is wrong, which is not great. So I want to go back and fix that and make sure I find the right data, right email, whatever it might be, reach out to those people. There's not interested, which comes in a variety of flavors, for anywhere from take me off your list, just not interested, not right now, whatever it might be. We're going to cover that. The vacation responder. So this is probably, in my opinion, the most powerful part of this whole automation. I mean, all of it is really great, but to me, this is one of the best parts. And then the interested folder, which means interested. And there's going to be a part 2 that's going to take this interested folder and take it to the next level. But in the short term, basically what this is your own personal email assistant. It's going to sit in your inbox and organize things. Now, this is what CEOs pay a personal assistant to do a lot of their job. This is going to do it for you. And these are the basic categories here. So this basically starts with the premise that nowadays SDRs are asked to do more and more than ever before. You have to be sort of a master of many things in order to be a good SDR. But organization will always be the most powerful thing in a BDR or SDR's arsenal, because that's going to be the difference from being a good SDR to being a great SDR, is just staying organized. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how to do that here. So the first thing in this automation is, of course, we have to watch emails. So that's going to be basically monitoring our inbox to see what comes in. You can change this maximum number to as much as you want. It does cost a little bit of money to run this thing, so maybe you want to keep it low. Maybe you have automated filters in the Gmail already that maybe you're filtering out, like calendar invites, things like that. Highly recommend doing that before doing this, but if you don't, you can just hop in and do those. I also have it to only unread, so it's not going back in time. I always feel like that's a good way to limit its reach. Next is the text parser. This isn't necessarily needed. It just saves you a little bit of money when you're running all the different GPTs, but basically just removing all the different HTML pieces here. So this is all you're going to need in here, and I'll have that down below. This is probably the most important part. And this is also where your own customization is going to come in. So these are the variables there, or the categories that I have. So basically what you need is for each of these items that you're going to create here. So add item, that's going to be up top when you put in your tools. You're going to have category 1, which is what it's like, its variable name, and then its variable value. So you're going to add a bunch of those. Then description 1 is description category 1, and then the value. Okay. So pretty simple here, category description, basically. You're going to do that for every single category you want. The ones I'm using are interested, bounce, not interested, vacation responder. To me, those are the most important when I'm doing large outbound. So we're going to stick with those. Again, get as custom as you want here. If you want to have ones that are from your boss, from whatever, you're going to go ahead and dump that in here. Just make sure you tell it what you need. And we'll go deeper into that in a minute. Next is the categorizer. This is the sorter. This is what's going to tell your router here to follow each of these filters that are going to take it forward. So this literally is just going to output one value and call it a day. And you can see here, it's basically 2 different pieces, the system and then the user. So this is the output here. Okay. And then the router, simple. We're going to have 4 legs here. So then we set up the filters, which is basically going to take whatever output the categorizer had and filter it to put it into the right piece here. And then finally, the email bucket that's going to fall into. So make sure you go and create your labels within Gmail. So when you're within Gmail, you're just going here and press plus on the labels and create a new label if you weren't sure how to do that already. So that will save you a bunch of time. And then you create one for bounces, not interested, vacation responder, and interested, okay? And then the next pieces here are gonna be taking the data we need out of the emails or the vacation responders or drafting an email. So basically what we want from whatever this email category is. And the interested is gonna have a much more complex automation. So we're gonna do that in a separate video. That's gonna be part 2. But in this one, we have our email extractor. Why do we have that here? So that's because bounces typically aren't coming from the person that you sent it to. So we need to extract the email from the random bounce email, the Google, whatever, with a big long error code email that it's coming from. But it always says email X was not able to receive this email, whatever it is, right? So bounces. And then we're going to put that into a Google Sheet here. Now, you can do this in a variety of ways. I'm using a Google Sheet, but feel free to do what you'd like. The next one here, that's another data pull basically, is date pull. So vacation responder is when someone says, hey, I'm not at my computer right now, I'm out of the office until, and they usually have a date. I want to know that date so I know when to reach out to that person next. So that's what this does. It is just a very short GPT prompt that's going to say, hey, find that date, pull that date, put it in this Google Sheet. Okay. Now, this one is where you can get a little bit more advanced. If you want to dump it straight into your CRM, Salesforce has a bunch of automations within Make. I can make a separate short video on that if anyone needs it. Feel free to comment below if you want me to do that. And then finally, we have our not interested category, which I'm going to have a negative drafter. So one of the most challenging and time-consuming parts of doing outbound for me was responding to negative comments or negative responses, basically like, hey, I'm not interested, not right now. There's basically like a couple of canned responses that you get from most people. There's going to be a couple that are out there every once in a while, that you need to respond to custom, but for the most part, they're going to fall into one of the basic categories we all know and love. So you're going to use a negative draft as basically to say, hey, here's how I respond to that 90% of the time. Go ahead and draft an email inside of the not interested label. And then I can go in, take a quick look, hit send. Saves you a lot of time. And then finally, of course, interested folder. We all know what that is. That's where the money is. And don't forget, you can go into our Skool, which is linked below, and get all of these frameworks as a part of our community. It is a paid community, but I'm going to walk through each step here for free. But if you want everything so you can just copy and paste and do this really quickly, feel free to join our major automations community. We have a ton of other content there, a ton of value, sales and marketing, the whole shebang. I mean, it is a really great place and an awesome community that's growing. So we're excited to have you. If you want to join, go pop over there and take a look. All right, so jumping into the nitty gritty here, we need to start from the beginning. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new scenario. Right, so here we are on our blank canvas. So where do we need to start? We need to start in our Gmail, of course. So we're gonna go ahead, click here and add to our Gmail. So what we want is we wanna watch emails. So this is just basically keeping a monitor on our inbox. We can choose what folder here. I do all mail. Maybe you have a folder already for like your campaigns. Maybe it's separated somehow. I don't. It's probably a good idea to do, to be honest. But so I'm just going to do all mail for now. And then filter type, simple filter, totally fine. All right, criteria. I do only unread emails just in case. If I already have a filter set up, maybe that will automatically read things. You can also do all emails, totally up to you. I'm going to do unread just in case, maybe I pop it open on my phone really fast because I don't want anything to get done with that. We'll see. Okay. Mark emails as read when fetched. I always put no here because usually I want to have access to that. I want to see some of these pieces that are brought up. And then maximum number of results. You can vary here. I typically do like 100 because you usually get quite a few, especially the first couple of days of a campaign. I'm going to do 10 in this case just because I don't want to, pay for 100 runs, but we'll go from there. All right, and click OK. And normally you would do from now on, right? Because you want to keep monitoring from now on. I'm going to do from a specific date so we can backdate, do some testing. But for you, do from now on. And I'm just going to do from the first of the month. Click. So next piece we need here is the text parser. So the text parser is, you don't necessarily need it. It's just going to save you maybe a couple cents here or there. It's really not a big deal. I'm going to put it in just for posterity's sake. All right, so we're going to go to our text parser here, and we want the replace part. So replace, boom. Okay. So the pattern we're looking for is a HTML pattern. I will have it down below so you can just copy and paste it. And I'm going to do the same. But basically, it's just HTML pieces that we want to pull out. And the new value is blank. You want global match? Yes. Case sensitive? Doesn't matter. We're not doing cases, but you can leave it as yes. Multi-line? No. Single line? No. And then text? Don't need to worry about it. Okay. So I'm going to put myself up here in the corner. Seems like a good enough spot. So the next thing we need is arguably the most important part. It's going to be under tools. So tools, and we need to set multiple variables. Boom. So set, go ahead and search that. I'm going to delete this and show you that again because that went really fast. So we're going to go to tools, show more. And you see how you says get variables? Don't do that. We don't need that, right? We need to set variables, okay? So go ahead and set multiple variables. Now, I'm going to show you what I put in here. Again, feel free to manipulate this to your preference, but this is how I've seen and how I've felt is best with when I'm doing outbound campaigns. This can also be used for a million different use cases, so use it for your best use case. But this one, I'm doing it for SDRs because shout out to my SDR brothers out there. All right, so variable name. Make sure, again, that you have all of your categories set up already in here so that you don't need to. So first one, I'm going to put in here, interested. Or we're going to do category 1 for variable name. That's so that we can stay organized, and the value is going to be interested. All right, then you click add item. Okay, and the next one is going to be our description, category 1. So description of category 1, and the value here is any emails where the prospect shows positive interest in GTM Hero as a client. The email cannot be from at gtmhero.ai email URL. So this can get more specific as well, right? So maybe this is, you want to add in a little modifier in here. I do find it works better when you do that. So it could be asking for more information, a meeting, or pricing, or other positive signals. So that just gives it a little bit more legs. So if somebody asks you something weird, like, hey, does this integrate with Salesforce? That's a positive signal that you'd want to be able to answer, right? You want to put that in interested, of course. So then we add our next item. So the next one, we're going to do bounces. So category 2, variable value, bounces. So now I'm dividing bounces and vacation responders because I think they have 2 different values, right? So in this particular case, variable name is description category 2. And variable value is any email that is shown as being unable to be delivered to the intended mail recipient. Exclude any that are vacation responses, which include being out of office, traveling, or unavailable. So this is where we want true bounced emails, right? We want the ones that bounce from, that are basically saying you have the wrong email or what have you. We want to know why, and we want to figure out why so that we can then go find the right info and funnel those people back into our campaigns, right? So we did the research, we found the right people, but if the data is wrong, it's useless. So we got to go find the right data. That's basically what it means here. And again, you can get more and more specific for your use case. This is a very general one. It's never going to say bounced usually, right? It'll say unable to deliver, whatever it might be. So the next variable here, we're going to add another item. We're going to put vacation responder, category 3, vacation response or responder, whatever you'd like. And then add value, description, category 3. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and put this in. Any response that says the person receiving the email is unable to respond due to travel, out of office, or is otherwise preoccupied. This does not include messages that were undeliverable. So, okay. So category 3, vacation responder. And we want to exclude this because I found that if you don't, sometimes it will just pick those up as well, and you don't want to have them being multi-tenanted across. So you also want exclusions in there. And this is all going to go to our GPT. So the next one and last one is going to be category 4. It's going to be not interested. So this is the responses that basically say, like, I don't want your thing, I'm busy, I don't have time right now, whatever it might be that's like a negative feedback, right? So variable name, description, category 4, and value. All right, so any email from a prospect that responds negatively to our email, such as not interested or no thank you. This can include, actually, we're going to back that up. It can include any negative response, such as not available, or too busy, or at a later date, or not available until later date. Okay, so the reason why I have the not interested or no thank you is because those are the ones that I get the most, right? Just basically no. It can include any negative response, such as not available, too busy, or not available until later date. So a lot of people try to put not available until later date in like a bucket of positive feedback because it's like, oh, they'll talk to me later. I disagree with that. I think that they're just pushing you off because they're too nice to outright say no. And to be frank, I much prefer if you just say no, just for anybody who's a buyer out there. But the general need is that they don't need you now, so there's no urgency. So yeah, they're going to say, hey, reach out to me in 6 months, a year, whatever. They're just putting you off. I don't count that as a positive response. So we click OK, and make sure you're always saving. Click save. All right, so now we can go ahead and run this once just to make sure that all the pieces are working. Let's go ahead and do that. It's not going to go anywhere, but at least it'll run, right? We're going to pick up a couple of emails. So you can see it did 10 like immediately because picking up, 10 from the beginning of the month. Most of these are probably like, So most of these are probably going to be like, Google Mail links and meeting links and what have you. I'm going to leave them in there just so we have some fodder for us to run through. But anyways, all right. So the next piece is where things get a little more interesting. So this is where you're going to need your OpenAI setup. You can go to my channel and check out my setting up ChatGPT within Make. Short video, about 3 minutes long. Go check that out and then come back here. I'll have a link below. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a completion. For this one in particular, you can use any model you'd like. The 4.0 system is awesome. 4.0 mini now, also great. I haven't had any problems using the mini versus the 4.0, and it's pretty cheap. I'm going to be honest. So I've been using the 4.0 mini for this. I think it works really, really well. But to be completely frank, I even think that 3.5 could probably do the job if you put enough description into your categories here. As long as it's well described, you should be okay. But all right, so the first thing we're going to do is choose our model. I'm doing the mini, going for it. All right, add message. So the role, first role, system, and content. So I'm going to copy and paste this, but I'm going to read through it with you. You can get all of this in our Make Automation, in our Major Automation Skool community. So you can just copy and paste it all yourself. All right. So you are a virtual assistant and your job is to categorize emails. These are the potential categories in their respective descriptions. So this is where you're just going to go ahead and put all of your categories dash descriptions. Boom. And this will save us a lot. The reason we did this is it saves us a lot of time, and it gives you a lot more flexibility so that you're not constantly copy and pasting the description over and over. None of the LLMs can get can start feeling, creative with your categories or anything like that. You have the same one all the way through, and that way you're locked in. And category 4, not interested. Boom. Okay. All right. So emails cannot be categorized in more than one category. Oh, and just so we know, we're pulling these from our tools here. Whenever you click into a prompt like this, it's going to show you all the other modules that you can pull different data from. So you can pull like the subject line for stuff, date, etc. All right. So emails cannot be categorized in more than one category and return nothing but the name of the category. Okay. And then next, we're going to add our message. So this one is the role of user. And then I'm going to copy and paste this. 1 second. So to which category does the following email belong to? The subject is going to come from here. So subject line, boom. Content, we're going to pull the text from the text parser. So it's going to have removed all the HTML elements. Saves us a couple bucks or a couple cents, but we'll take it. All right. And then do not return anything except for the name of the category again. If you've used LLMs before, you kind of have to reiterate things multiple times to get to do what you want. And if the email does not fit within a category, leave it blank and do not output anything. That's really important because you can also have a sort of canned response, right? Like maybe it's like a deal with later folder or something along those lines. Because a lot of the ones that are going to be left blank are going to be the stuff you don't really care about. So maybe that's like calendar invites, things like that. And if you wanted to create this and filter those out, you totally could. Use ChatG 3.5 for that and just create a separate workflow. I can also show you how to do that. Or you can do it right within Google. It's also very easy. All right, and then max tokens here, 0. We want the max tokens, let it do its thing. Click OK. All right, and now we're just going to rename this because we got to stay organized. So rename categorizer. And then, I don't know, we'll put an emoji here, something fun. I don't know. We'll do the key. This is kind of the key to this workflow. All right, you click OK. Always click OK when you're renaming or it just won't work. It's one of the things I do more than anything else. All right, so the next piece here is we got to split everything off. So this is where we're going to get fancy. So we want a router right here. So type in router down here. It's under the flow control if you saw that one on the first page. I like to search things in here. I just find it easy, but we're going to go ahead and dump that in. Boom. All right. And we're going to add, you can just click the router. You see it has a plus here to add more legs. So we're going to just add 2 more legs. So we have all 4 ready to go here. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and add our filters. So first thing we want to filter is label interested. Boom. Condition is category is the output of ChatGPT, right? The content. So when you open up here, you're going to drop down choices, message, content, and then you want to change equals to contains, and then you want to add your category. Boom. So it's saying the output of ChatGPT contains interested. Okay. Now, I've never had an issue with this where it doesn't output exactly equals to, but maybe you have a couple of categories that are similar in name, like interested, not interested, maybe something like that. I don't know. Either way, I think this is the way to go. I just found contains seems to work better. Click OK. All right, the next one here is we're going to do bounce. So we're going to do label bounces. Condition is output, again, message, content, is contains, category 2, and so on and so forth. So each of these are going to be the same. So now you have your filter set up. So now we need to add Gmail to each of these. So we're going to go to Gmail. All right. So I made a mistake there. I accidentally deleted it. It will delete everything, including your filter, if you delete it when there's no other bubbles here. So don't do that. All right, so here we're going to go into Gmail, and we want to move an email into a selected folder. Okay, so with that, it's going to pop up, and the folder you want to choose from, this is the folder it starts in. So it's going to be all mail, right? And then we want to move it into interested. Boom. And then the email UID, you're going to scroll down, and you're going to see, and you'll see this start pulsing, but you'll see it here under the initial Gmail, the Gmail UID here, and just add that and click OK. So the way you can do this is you can do one of these and then just copy and paste it. It'll be a little bit faster. But either way, you're basically going to do the exact same thing for each of these. So this is how we really stay organized. We're able to really know. And this is also where you're going to find out if you did your folders correctly. So bounces, the initial all mail destination folder is going to be bounces, email UID. Again, we're going to go down here, boom, done. And then you just do this for all of them. Okay, so all of those are done, and you should be ready to rock and roll on the next parts. So with interested, we're done with it, okay? Because we're going to have a very different workflow with interested that is going to take a lot of important pieces and bring them all together for us so that we can go ahead and close them as usefully and as powerfully as possible, right? We want to take anyone that shows initial interest and we want to close them. Like we want a super high close rate or get them to a meeting, whatever you're comped on as an SDR, or if you're an AE and you're doing your own outreach and using this, then you're going to want to close them. So we're going to show you how to do that in the second part of this. But for these other pieces, the quote unquote bad responses, the first thing we want is we want to be able to take our bounces. We want to be able to take them back through whatever workflow we used and get the correct data so that we can actually reach out to these folks. I mean, we did the work of building the list. Just because the data is wrong doesn't mean we should be punished. So let's go back and get the right data, right? And also it allows you to clear out your sales force. So if you have a RevOps team, you can send this like, hey, these are all the ones that bounce. Let's clear them out, get the right ones. Or if you're doing it yourself, you can clear it out, because having like crappy data in Salesforce is the worst. Or Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever CRM you're using, it's the worst. So for bounces, so typically what bounces are, they are not directly from the person that you sent it to, correct? But it's going to say something like, hey, this email doesn't work. So we need to go ahead and extract that email from that bounce notification, from that email of bounces. So we're going to go ahead and use another chat completion here. So create completion. We're going to go ahead and use 3.5 because, to be honest, this is extremely simple. It just takes time for you to do it. So let's make chat do it. So for our messages here, our role is user. And for our content is, you are basically going to have chat read the email and pull the email that's in there out of the content. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this over, but I'll go ahead and go through it with you. Here is what it looks like. It's pretty simple and very straightforward. So you are an email extractor. You are to look at this email content and extract the email within the content. You will not extract the sender email or the recipient email, only the email in the content. You will output nothing else except the email. If there is no email in the content, you will export find email. And of course, you need to add the content, which in this case is our text, or if you just want the raw HTML, you can do text content here. I'm going to do the text from the text parser. It's just a little cleaner, saves a couple of cents. 3.5 is super duper cheap, so don't worry too much about this one in particular, but you can go ahead and click OK. All right, and then we're going to rename this. We're going to do email extractor. And then we're going to go ahead. Got to throw an emoji on there. I don't know. See what they have for email. Ooh, what about just mail? Mail sounds more fun. Oh yeah, let's do, yeah, boom. That looks right. That feels good. Click OK. All right. So the next thing we need is we need to put this somewhere. So to me, I think the best way to do it is to put it into some kind of table. I think Google Sheets is the way I'd like to go about it. So jump into your Google Sheets and make a quick sheet. It doesn't need to have a ton of data. All you really need is the email, the potentially the URL. I'll show you a little trick at the end to extract the URL from like any email you have really quickly. So you can edit those like in mass, but in the short term, let's just go ahead and create a quick sheet. So we're gonna go here, blank sheet. Let's go ahead and create our bounce list. And you can put in the email campaign you're running here so that you know what it is. Like, I don't know, or you can just put a date so you can keep track, whatever you want to do. Or if you just want to have a running bounce list forever, you can do that too. And just clean it out whenever it's, taken care of, because I'll show you, you'll be able to keep track on what you've already done by how I'm going to do it. So here, really all we need is email, URL. I don't think you need much more than that. You do like name and all that junk and all that other stuff if you'd like. I don't really see a need for that, to be honest, because we're just going to match the URL and the email that's in Salesforce to whatever it is that we can go through and get all the data. But if you're just using this like naked, you might want like name. If you don't have a CRM or something, you might want like name here or company name, whatever it might be, any other data you want here. All right, I spent way too much time on that. Okay, so we have our bounce list. I'm gonna make it a little pretty here, boom. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna name this bounce list 2.0, so I know where it is. And we're gonna add Google Sheets. We're gonna do add a row. All right, so you can see I want my Google connection here. You want to select by path, choose my drive, and then the spreadsheet ID. So you can see I already have a bounce list here. We're going to do the bounce list 2.0, and it is going to be sheet 1. You can also rename those if you want to have different campaigns. Maybe you want to organize them somehow. But then we're going to go ahead and put in the extracted email. So choices, message, content. Boom. And I'll show you later how to do the URL. Click OK. There you go. We'll rename this bounce list. So what you can do with this later is you can go ahead and export it to CSV or send it to your RevOps team. Be like, hey, these are all the emails that bounced within the campaigns we've been running. Can you go get the right information for these folks? Whatever it might be. Or if you're doing it, I'll show you a little hack real quick that you can match the URL to the email or the email to the URL, etc., and then use that to match the right contact within your CRM. Okay, and now we have our vacation responder. So similar to the email extractor, except for this one, we're going to have easy access to their email, right? Because they're the one responding. So we don't need to go extract the email. What we do want is the date that they sent. Like, hey, we're out of town from now till now. So that you can put them on a list to respond to after that, right? Because a vacation responder is one of those ones that falls through the cracks so often, and you can miss out on so much opportunity. So let's go ahead and create our extractor. So we need our OpenAI, create a completion. Model 3.5, again, this is super basic stuff, so 3.5 is perfectly good. Role, user, message, content. Again, I'm going to copy and paste this, but I'm going to go through it with you. Your job, excuse me. Your job is to read the email below and find the date that the person is returning from vacation, travel, holiday, etc. If there is no date of return, or say they will respond as, or they say they will respond as soon as they can, or some variant of this, put tomorrow's date. So you're going to follow up, right? Email. Okay, so the email is going to be text from the text parser, right? Or you can go directly to Gmail again and do the text content here. You will output only the date and nothing else. Keep it simple. Tokens, 0, which means max. Click OK. Rename you. We're going to do date, poll. And then we're going to go ahead and put a date thing in here. Date. Do 3D1. Boom. All right, so date poll. And very similar, we want to have a vacation responder list so that we can or this is where you can get a little fancier. You can have the date that's here set up as a reminder within Salesforce that says, hey, reach out to this email or this contact, however you parse it, and at this date. right? Or, you can even get a little more fancy and say, hey, reach out to this person 3 business days after this date, right? Because you want to give people a little bit more time when they get back from vacation, right? Get back in the groove of things. So usually 3 days is a good amount. Some people say 5 days. That's a full week. I don't necessarily wait that long. So I usually do 2-3 business days, something like that. But for us right now, we're just going to go ahead and add a Google Sheet. So let's go create one. So go here, go to Google Sheets, boom, create, vacation, responder, 2.0. All right. Now we want name, company. Just remember, you're going to have a lot easier access to a lot of this because they're actually responding with their email, URL, and then we're going to put this here, and I'll show you why in a second. Turn date. Boom. All right. So a lot of this is going to be a lot easier just because of the way, the vacation responder works instead of obviously the bounce. Okay. So we have that built. Let's go ahead and add it. So we go here. Let's go Google Sheets, add a row, click by path, my drive, find the sheet ID. Again, we're going to do vacation responder 2.0. So I already have one. Sheet name 1. Table contains headers. Yes. Okay. So name. We can go here. You can, delivered to. Is you receiving it? Obviously. You can check recipients. See the email address, recipient name if it's there, or you can or a sender name if it's there. If they have it set up, you can do that. Or you can just leave it blank. Company, you can set up a GPT if you wanted to figure out the company name, figure out this company name based on the URL, and do a quick research. But really what we care about in this one is the date. So we at least have the content from the date pull here, which is going to be the date. And then the email is going to be the sent from. So sender email address. Boom. All right. And then URL, I'll show you that in a little bit. All right. And then we click OK. Remember, click save constantly. All right. Finally, not interested. So these are going to be folks, and you can go ahead and rename. I'm going to rename all these as well, all these Gmail ones. So we're going to do interested, and I'll be back in a second with that. All right. So we have all our things renamed. Okay. So not interested. So one of the things that we know is that we typically have a canned response to most not interested. Okay. I'm going to show you just one of them, but you can, your use case will be different. You're going to get different ones, but I'm going to show you the one I built here because you do have to put it in HTML. If you can go ahead and jump into ChatGPT and just give it an email, say, hey, turn this into HTML code. It'll do that really quickly for you. But for this case, I'm going to give it to you as well, so you can go ahead and take a look at it. So we're going to go here. And we're going to do an OpenAI, create a completion model. I'm going to use the 4.0 mini for this. I think it's really great for use cases like this because it's basically just taking a canned response, but it does have to do a little bit of thinking, right? It's saying like, oh, they responded in this way. I'm going to draft this email, right? So role, user, message content. Okay. Again, I'm going to copy and paste this. All right. So going through it. You are an expert at outbound email conversion. Your job is to respond to negative responses to my email campaign. You will respond with email framework below based on the responses. You will always respond in HTML format. Response, not interested. Email framework. You can see here, it's all in HTML. I'll scroll through this slowly so everyone can see it and you can copy it if you like. If you're within major automations, you'll be able to just copy and paste this just like I did. Take you 2 seconds. So you can see all of the font, container width. Go ahead and hit pause if you need to. Header, content, footer, style, body, and then totally understand. So, and now here's the actual content, text content. So this is what I wrote. You can go ahead and have whatever your canned response here is. Basically, you want to put your text in between the P here with the \P as a closing that paragraph. So basically, it's like if you hit enter twice. So you spaced out. So totally understand recipient's first name, but I couldn't help but wonder why. you are hiring SDRs. In this case, in my hypothetical sequence that I've run a lot is, hey, you're hiring SDRs. You should use us to help your SDRs be better. You're hiring SDRs. You need to grow. Why not make them SDRs for growth instead of activity? Usually, I just find that a really interesting catch. It at least like provokes. It's thought provoking. People are like, "What does that even mean?" I'd much rather have that from a negative response than nothing. So that's the basic outlook. That's the basic framework, rather. So of the email that I'm using for this, and that's if they're not interested. If they say like not interested, right? Or maybe it's no thank you, whatever it might be. Now you're going to get other responses a lot that are similar, like take me off your list. Maybe you change this up. You just copy and paste this email framework, or copy the whole thing here. Let's go response not interested. You just copy, enter, paste, scroll up, take me off your list. And then we change the content, scroll down, no problem. And because there's legal stuff that's involved in this, we're just going to get rid of basically everything. Down. And say, let me know if things change. So you should have an unsubscribe button, but some people are just lazy and they don't look at it. So feel free to add this in here. And make sure that you monitor these because you really do want to take them off the list. You don't want to leave them out there. So take a look at those whenever they come in, and then you should be good to go. And you can always just search, let me know if things change, or if you want to put something wacky in here so it's easy to find. That's what I used to do. I used to put, like, let me know if things change in your multiverse. Because how many times am I going to say multiverse in an email? Pretty much only in this one. But you can say things like that. Also, again, I use intrigue to overcome negative a lot in emails, because I just find if you're interesting, at least you're memorable. So that's the way I go. All right, and click OK. So now you have what I call the negative responder. So we're going to rename it negative drafter because it's just going to be creating drafts, not actually sending. Now, if you get super comfortable with this and you want it to be sending actual emails for you, you totally can. I never got that comfortable with it, to be frank. It also depends on the volume. Like each of my customers are really high dollar, so I wanted to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more hands-on. So if I could do a little research, I would. But sometimes, even if you have super high ticket, you might want to take your not interested and use the interested workflow that we're going to do in the second video and apply it to the not interested. All right. And then finally, we're going to create a draft. So Gmail, create a draft. And we need to just input all of our information here. So folder, we're going to put it within the folder. Not interested. Add recipient, email address, scroll down. It'll be the sender email address, of course. Subject line, whatever you'd like. Again, you can put whatever you prefer in here. No worries. Content, because a lot of times I'm probably just going to copy and paste and not send this as a separate email. But, I don't know if there's a way to do actually responses here. Content. So content, we're going to go to our negative drafter, choices, message, content. Boom. And then click OK. And now you have a fully organized inbox. Click save. And what's going to happen here is it's going to look through your inbox for any of these that match the criteria we're looking for. I'm not running any big outbound sequences literally right now, so it probably isn't going to bring back anything that's going to fall into any of these. But we're going to go ahead and check. So you see it chopping through them all. Yeah, we didn't get any. But you can see all of them in here. Searching, no output, no worries there. All right. So let's run it again and see if we catch anything. Because now it's just chopping forward from a month ago, basically. Give it another shot here. See. There we go. Interested. Okay. So we got one interested. Let's check it out. I think this might have been the one I sent while I was doing input. There we go. Okay. So yeah. So bundle 6 here was interested. So we can see which email that was. here. Bundle 6. All right. Yeah, so Bolt Chat recipient demo call basically showed positive interest, and this was for rebooking a call, but that's positive interest. So we'll take it. All right. So that is our fully automated email assistant for SDRs. Again, if you have any other use cases that you want me to make one for, just tell me a little bit more about what you need it for, and I'll design it and build it around it. In the meantime, get out there, close a lot of deals. Look down below for our Major Automation Skool community. It's growing rapidly. We're really excited about it. Liz and I are always creating new content. So please give us a like, give us a subscribe, and send it to a friend. If you know any good SDRs out there that need to get even better, send this to them and let them know. Appreciate it, and talk soon. Have a good one.